This is GB Shivakumar again. So, thanks for the continuous support, and thanks for giving likes and subscribe my videos. So, in this part of video, actually, we are going to discuss about the Agile project management, right? So, the Agile project management is an iterative approach to deliver a project which focus on continuous release that incorporates customer feedback, the ability to adjust during each iteration, promotes velocity and adaptability. So this agile management approach is different from a linear waterfall, that is traditional project management approach. So which is having a set path with a limited deviation. So with today's customer and business requiring rapid response and changes, Agile provides the flexibility to adapt, to adjust and adapt to the changing environment and iterate during the development process. So Agile project management is also a cornerstone of DevOps practices. Where development and operations team work, collaborate, collaboratively work together and bring success. So in this video, I am going to discuss about actually this the main actually say I can say what is agile, what is the need for agile, and then actually what is the different values that is different for Agile Manifesto values, Agile Manifesto principles. Some 12 principles are there, and then what is Agile Mindset, and what are the different types of actually Agile methodologies. Let's say Scrum is number one in that Agile methodology, very familiarly used, and XP, Lean, Kanban. So lot many different practices are available in day-to-day's market. So we are trying to see what is the main difference between agile and waterfall, and what are the disadvantages in waterfall and advantages in waterfall, and why we need to go for agile. So what are the best practices it is advising in agile way of project methodology? What are the workflows to be configured? So we have lot many informations in this video. So really sorry to bear with me. So it is nearly actually 1 hour. I can say 18 minutes video. So it is a too long video. So I am requesting our friends to bear with such a long video to listen, but I assure you that it is really very meaningful and is very useful for you to get into agile methodology for the project management. And in my next videos, I am planning to discuss about the Scrum, what is Scrum, and then how to be deployed the Scrum in the project management or the project, or say then actually we have what are the different types of Scrum pillars, Scrum teams, Scrum events, how to sequence Scrum events, what is a Scrum artifact, so how to plan the agile, that is agile planning. So how to do actually I can say estimation, so how to gather requirement gathering, and how to execute agile project. So agile execution, project execution, and different reports in agile. So those are the core topics I am planning to do. So I hope actually we will see in the successive videos. I hope this series of agile management video will be more useful to each and everyone. Thanks friends, thanks for watching my videos. This is GB Shivakumar. Thanks.
Good morning friends, this is GB Shivakumar again. Thanks for the support. Today I'm planning to discuss about agile way of management. Okay, so immediately many people asking actually what is Agile, and many people know what is Agile, need for Agile, project management, everything, right? You already know that. So I can say Agile is simply a concept that states how work should be done. This work can be part of the project or regular operations, right? The concept of Agile has several different implementations which are called methodologies. These methodologies can either be applied individually to work or together in a combination, in the sense of hybrid way. Most common Agile implementations are the combination of several Agile methodologies, right? Agile is not recommended for all the kind of work. There are two prerequisites that need to be satisfied to get the real benefit of Agile. So those prerequisites are work as a high uncertainty in scope. Second, work involves knowledge workers. When we are discussing about work as a high uncertainty in scope, scope means actually the work that needs to be done on the project or operations. In several cases, scope is quite clear in the minds of the customers and other stakeholders. However, in most cases, the customers only knows some part of the problem. Hence, the solution providers are asked to take up a few unknown requirements to start off and learn as they go. In such cases, scope is not clear in the beginning and it evolves as work progress. This is especially common on projects, as scope on project is progressively elaborated, clarified as the work progress. So work involves knowledge workers, right? The term knowledge workers stands for highly skilled resource. Work that requires such resource is best positioned to apply Agile concept, as one of the key characteristics of Agile is to give a lot of decision making authority to the team. So instead of going for actually the way of actually the workflow in Waterfall is actually the manager or a lead will have a more decision capacity, whereas actually in Agile actually we are giving that role to the individual team members or individual team. So Agile is to give a lot of decision making authority to the team. Hence, the team needs to have the required skills to take proper decisions that will help them to take the particular work in as early as possible, or as good as possible. Okay. Second thing, why we need Agile, right? That is a big question. Work was happening in the past even without Agile, right? It was happened. It is already done, but actually Agile is a new, right? Then the question that comes to mind is, why do we need Agile? In order to understand the answer to this question, let's look at how work happened in the past and where the major drawbacks of the approach happened, right? This is a way to approach the Agile. So the traditional approach to perform work was to gather and document all the requirements in the beginning, plan all of them at once, and then begin execution. This is the traditional method or any waterfall method, right, of project management. So normally it is requirement gatheration, collating the requirements, then based on that we are planning for the design, and the third stage will be implementation or development, and the fourth stage will be testing, and fifth will be deployment or delivery. This is a high level actually traditional method we followed, we did in earlier times, or actually say even some projects they are doing this. So this kind of approach is called a waterfall model. In a software industry, right, However, similar model was being used in several industries where each stage was done completely before moving to the next stage. That is called a traditional waterfall. When using the delivery approach, the customer gets to see the final deliverables only during the later part of testing or during the delivery stage. At the time only they can realize it. If at the time the customer does not like some of the deliverables and request major changes, then one needs to go back to the previous stage of the requirement in the waterfall traditional methodology of design. So, say that is what actually, if customer does not like the particular development, if he is saying, please change it, then actually we need to go back to the previous stage of requirements, design or development to incorporate them. This could involve a lot of rework, which involves time, effort and money. Hence, making changes using this approach was quite cumbersome, right? That is not good. This approach is sometimes even referred to as a Big Bang approach. Waterfall methodology is called a Big Bang approach because if any changes to be done, then actually again you need to go back to the previous stages or previous phases and need to correct as per the customer requirement. This takes long time. So customer can know only the end results after the testing, right? That is the biggest problem. So what I'm coming to say is actually we can overcome all this problem in the Agile. Okay, so this is called a Big Bang approach, as all the deliverables are shown to the customer together at a later part of the project. One another issues that arises with above sequential approach is that if customer needs to request for a change anywhere during the stage, for example, during the development or testing, then once again those stages could be revisited. That could not involve a lot of rework by going back to the previous stages, right? So, as we already discussed above, handling changes could be quite a challenge in the sequential model. Due to this, the team is not often reluctant to incorporate changes in the work. This means that the team is not customer-centric, does not concentrate on the customer benefit as applying, or actually in considering as this may sound, it is quite true, right? So, this is where we enter the world of Agile. We need to approach the Agile through this way. The main reason why Agile came into existence is in order to manage changes better. So the term Agile comes from the term agility, right? Which means our ability to change course rapidly and easily. Agile keeps customers benefit as a top priority by embracing the changes or immediately considering those changes when we apply Agile. We always concentrate only on delivering what is beneficial to the customer. Okay, so that is a biggest point of consideration in the in current industry, whether it is an IT industry or any traditional industry. Work on Agile is done in a short cycles called iterations. When each iteration consists of all stages, right, the total work is completed by going through the several such small cycles, each cycle is delivering some part of functionality. Say for example, requirements, design, implementation or development, testing, delivery or deployment, right? Everything is one iteration, kind of a cycle of iterations. So normally this is where the Agile functionality works. It is not in stages. I can say in Waterfall actually we are having the previous stage output will be input to the second stage, and so on. And if you want to change anything during if the customer finds during the testing actually it is not good, then we need to revisit. We need to go for the design development and then actually testing everything. So requirement change, everything will happen. But in Agile it is not like that, right? So it is a kind of actually iterations, and each iteration consists of all the stages, right? So the total work is completed by going through several such small cycles, each cycle delivering some part of functionality. Okay. And now agile characteristics. So agile characteristics are incremental, right? Incremental, iterative. Like that we can say a lot of actually different adaptive. Like that actually we have a lot of advantages in using agile. So incremental in the sense the entire system, right, is divided into pieces, small pieces, and built pieces by piece, right? One by one we are building. So for example, if we have the requirements for building various features of a system, and each feature is divided into sub-features, small features or scope, right? We will build all sub-features of one feature before moving to the next feature. That is important. Say when we have one feature, below that we have sub-feature 2, sub-feature 3, like that. So do this feature first before moving to the other features. So that is a biggest beauty in that. Okay. Then iterative. First we discussed about agile characteristics incremental. Second, then iterative. So iterative in the sense a few initial parts of the system are built and improved upon as we get customer feedback, right? The entire system is built little by little and continuously improved until it is acceptable. For example, if we have a requirement for building various features of the system, and each feature is divided into sub-features, we will build a few sub-features of multiple features before moving to the rest of the sub-features. This is kind of actually iterative thing, right? So do the sub-features first before moving to the other sub-features. That is a big question. Then third will be adaptive. Being able to change course rapidly and easily is one of the key characteristics and the foundation of Agile. The main difference between traditional approach and Agile approach is really interesting to understand. So traditional in the sense one off activities, and Agile is continuous activities. So traditional actually, say for example, we have analysis, design, code and test. So that will go sequentially. But Agile is kind of continuous, right? So I can say, how to say that. For example, you may notice that test is coming in an earlier stage in Agile. This is not a mistake, but by design. Okay. So normally in traditional or waterfall methodology, the stages will be analysis, design, code, and then test. Whereas in Agile, analysis, test, design, and code. This is the biggest difference. We have that. We have in Agile. We have. I mean, don't confuse why test is coming immediately to the analysis means. Is that we have the concept called test-driven development that is commonly practiced in the Agile. So we will discuss in our coming discussions why Agile is doing that. So some Agile myths. Over the years, Agile becomes popular. So there have been several myths that have also created in about it. So some of them could also be due to the human inertia to change. So for example, Agile does not require documentation. In Agile there is no need to plan, and in Agile it does not need a disciplined approach. Or in case actually Agile, it is a silver bullet that ensures success of a project, and Agile involves a lot of rework. So these are the common Agile myths. Okay, so when we are talking about Agile is a silver bullet that ensures success of the project, it is seen that some people think that if their project is falling towards the failure future, they should introduce Agile and all the issues will get resolved and success will be guaranteed in Agile. Like that they are thinking. This is not true. Agile does not help in improving project success. Please bear in mind. Agile does not help in improving project success. Okay, but only when prerequisites, that is two prerequisites we discussed earlier, right, are satisfied, then only Agile will give you a fruitful result. So however, it does not guarantee success. Okay, so what are the two futures, right, actually? So during the introduction of Agile, right, actually I mentioned work has a high uncertainty in scope, and work involves knowledge workers. These are the futures to be satisfied. Then Agile will help us to get a success. Say it is not a kind of actually say if you are working in a traditional way and facing a lot of failures, then we immediately implement Agile, then we will get a lot of success. Then don't think like that. And second point is it does not require documentation. Again, Agile is not being customer centric by doing only value added design things and cutting waste everything. This means that critical documentation would still be made, but those documents that are less useful and seen as a waste might not be made or can be avoided. So making a statement that no documentation is needed is incorrect. Third, there is no need to plan. Again, planning in Agile is done in an increment, that is called parts. Instead of all the upfront planning, right? Planning might not be detailed as in traditional approach, but it does not exist and done yearly to the extent that team deems adequate. Okay. And the fourth point, it does not need a disciplined approach. Again, this is also not correct. There are several values, principles and practices defined in a various Agile methodologies that we follow. Some of them are straightened, but most of them are quite flexible and are left to the team to decide how and which ones to be applied. This does not mean that it is not disciplined in the approach. It is simply more flexible in following selections and implementations of the approach. That is the biggest thing. Agile allows flexibility in allowing selection and implementation of the approach. That is the biggest advantage in Agile. It is not found in Waterfall. Now, fifth point, it involves a lot of rework. This is exactly the opposite what Agile is speaking, right? As we got customer feedback for each iteration and build further, right? Due to this yearly feedback, the rework is in fact lesser than in the traditional approach. That is what actually say if the requirements we got from the customer at the early stage, then actually we can do the changes immediately, right? Actually, so we can do the rework after testing, right? That will cause that will cause a lot of rework from each stage, right? To avoid that, actually at the early stage itself, actually we can correct it and release the particular feature or the requirement, right? That is the biggest thing. And Agile Manifesto. The work we do in Agile must adhere to the Agile Manifesto. This document was prepared by founding feathers of Agile, right? So Agile mindset again, it is described by 4 values, right? So defined by 12 principles and manifested through unlimited number of practices. Say Scrum, XP, custom things, and Kanban, lot of things are there, right? So Agile mindset is driven by values, principles, and practices. That is important. So manifested through unlimited number of practices. Okay, principle in the sense we have 12 principles. This values means we have 4 values. So this composite of Agile mindset. So now the Agile mindset is the way we think in Agile. It starts with 4 values that are further elaborated into 12 principles, which are finally covered to several practices. These practices have different methodologies or ideologies in the Agile management. So the Agile Manifesto, right? First thing, individuals and interactions, which gives process and tools, okay? And working product, so that will give comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration will give contract negotiation over contract negotiation. So responding to changes over the following plan. So that is why actually while there is a value in the item on the right, we value the items on the left more also. Okay, this is the biggest difference. So Agile Manifesto, what it says, individuals and iterations over process and tools, working product over comprehensive documentation. Third, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And fourth will be responding to changes over following a plan. The whole gambit of Agile involves around 4 values, right? In these 4 statements, we have left side and right side. Actually we have this manifesto points. We value the left side more than the right side, although the right side is also given importance. So what is individuals and iterations over the process and tools? This means that in Agile we can more about individuals and their interactions than we care for the following process and tools. This does not mean that we do not have process and tools, nor do we mean that we do not follow the process. It means that although process and tools do exist, they need to take back seat when composed to people and communication. This statement states that our success depends more upon the kind of people we have and how effectively they can communicate with each other. It has a lesser dependence on the process and tools being used. So rather than it concentrated on individuals and interactions. In a traditional work environment, more stress is put the process definitions and adherence. This leads to more predictable outcomes. However, on Agile, there is expected to be greater complexity and uncertainty. So more importance is given to the people and communication to deliver the work successfully. Working product over comprehensive documentation. This statement states that we should concentrate on developing and delivering something of value, namely working a product Less focus should be put on developing detailed documentation and adds lesser value to the customer. It does not mean that documentation is not important. However, a product that work is of great importance is considered. In a traditional way of doing work, we put lot of focus on documentation as that reduces our dependency on individuals and make it easier to maintain in future. However, several times the team loses focus on the actual deliverables while they make while they make the accompanying documentation, right? So these are the biggest actually considerations for following Agile. So now actually we have this Agile understanding, right? Actually I think all the people will have the Agile understanding. So say for example, Agile tries to fix this anomaly by providing higher priority to value adding deliverables. This is in no way means that documentation is not created. It simply means that we prioritize correctly so that we deliver the prioritization is important. Based on that, we deliver great values. Customer collaborations over contract negotiations. So on the Agile part, we work closely with the customer and other stakeholders through daily collaborations. This may lead to constant change in work priority or the scope. In such cases, we try to accommodate the changes instead of going back to the contract and trying to negotiate with the customer. Hence, Agile contracts are also drafted in a different way so as to provide flexibility. This does not mean that we do not respect the contract terms. Instead, we give more importance to close the collaboration with the customer and draft the contract accordingly. Several times we have rigid contracts with clear scope definitions, and any change has to go through a lengthy change control process. This makes it difficult to accommodate changes quickly. However, Agile work is expected to have a greater uncertainty. Hence, we provide more flexibility in the contract so that the team can take up changes more easily. This is purely to ensure that deliveries keep providing business values to the customer. So last one, responding to change over the following plan. As discussed earlier, Agile came into existence so that changes can be managed better for the greater business values. Hence, we try to accommodate changes even late in the development. It is more important to accept or embrace challenges than to simply follow the original plan. In Agile, we do not collaborate planning too far off, as we know that changes could come up and we may need to make changes. Hence, we plan as we go. So it does not in any way mean that Agile work does not have a plan. It means that Agile plans are more dynamic rather than static, and planning happens several times rather than just once during the early stage. In traditional waterfall, what happens? The planning happens at the initial stage. But in Agile, in every phase and every actions we have this planning. That is the difference. In the traditional way of working, we have a planning stage that happens before execution starts. Most of the planning is done in first stage. However, on Agile, there is a greater uncertainty. Hence, we plan in chunks. So, small pieces. This means that planning happens multiple times as changes are identified. This allows us to respond to the changes better than following an original plan that is rigid and difficult to change. Okay, so these are the biggest problem. So now we are going to talk about Agile Manifesto principles. First thing, so our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through yearly and continuous delivery of valuable software. So this principle has three aspects. The first is about satisfying customer through our deliveries. It means that we should always focus our work on what provides greater customer satisfaction. The second aspect is about yearly and continuous deliverables. So it means that we try to prioritize requirements and deliver in chunks continuously through the life cycle, that is incremental and iterative, which more values adding items yearly on. The final aspect is about delivering valuable software. It means that we should always strive to deliver something that adds value to the customer and something that might be easy to build. Second thing, welcome to the changing requirements. Even late in development, Agile process harness change for the customer competitive advantages. Changes in work are to be added more to the customer value. Hence, we welcome them irrespective of when they are requested. We embrace changes to provide an edge to the customer. Third point, deliver working software frequently, from couple of weeks to couple of months, with the preferred to the shorter time scale. In Agile, we do not deliver everything in a one go like a waterfall methodology, right? So after 6 months or 1 year. Instead, we make frequent small deliveries, incremental and iterative. This ensures that we keep adding value to the customer as we go and get yearly feedback from them. The suggested frequency for the delivery is from 2 weeks or 2 months to 2 months. This is referred to as an iteration in Agile. Typical iteration runs for a week. Shorter iterations are more preferred. This is a way of Agile working, right? Iterations, right? Incremental iterations. So fourth thing, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. This principle is about the collaboration in an Agile environment. It is important that business representatives and developers should be in daily contact so that the queries can be answered faster, earlier feedback can be given on deliveries, and changes can be understood better, right? In additional projects, or I can say in waterfall projects, a lot of time is spent in getting answers from the customers or from the development team. In Agile, we promote daily communication, preferably face-to-face, so that quick response can be received and communication does not become a bottleneck. So fifth point will be build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environmental and support they need and trust them to get the job done. People are our most important assets in work involving knowledge workers, where Agile is most used. Hence, this principle states that we should strive to have a motivated team and provide them with all they need and trust they will deliver. The planning, the decision making and tracking are all left to the team to do, as they are in best position to do, as they understand the work better than anybody else. This contrasts with the traditional management, where where manager performs all these tasks. But in Agile, the team is driving all these actually activities, right? People, that is what people are most important assets in work involving knowledge workers. But Agile is most used. Hence, this principle states that we cannot depend on only one person as that is manager. We should strive to have a motivated team and provide the team with all they need, all the required decision making powers and everything, and trust that they will deliver more efficiently. The planning, decision making and tracking are all left to the team, and so they need the best with the best position to do so, as they understand the work better than anybody else, right? This is the biggest contract with the traditional method. Agile, sixth point, Agile process promote to sustainable development. The sponsors and developers and users should be able to maintain a constant pace of indefinitely. Agile work should appreciate the need for work-life balance of all stakeholders. The phase of this delivery should be based on resource availability. Hence, we do not force delivery of certain scope of the team. Rather, we decide the scope to be delivered based on the availability. The phase that is set in early iterations should be sustainable. That is called it is called the velocity. The phase that is set in early iterations should be sustainable. That is called velocity, right? This is possible when we base our deliverables on resource availability and not on overtime working, as that leads to the resource burnout and is not sustainable. This is commonly, the resource burnout will be common in all the waterfall method of project management. So Agile is trying to rectify the defects. So seventh point, working software is a primarily measure of progress. Measure of the progress should be based on the value addition, and so on software development work, value addition is directly proportional to working software delivered. Hence, the only way to measure the progress of our work is to track our delivery of working software and not on partially written, untested or not working software. When applied to non-software development work, this means that we measure the progress on a completed value-adding deliverables rather than any other parameter. That is called working software is a primary measure of progress, not on the partially written, untested or not working software, right? This is the biggest advantage of Agile. So now eighth point. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within the development team is face-to-face conversation. So face-to-face communication is the most preferred method of communication, as it is the most effective. Hence, this principle promotes the use of this kind of communication as much as possible. This is true for both kind of communication within the development team as well as within the external stakeholders like the customer. Ninth point will be continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. While we concentrate on delivering value to the customers, we should also ensure that we have given enough thought to making a good design and development approach is technically feasible. So if there are if these are not thought of them, we may have to redo a lot of things later and would also slow down at the phase of deliveries. So 10th point will be simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. So on the Agile part, we focus on delivering the most of the valuable items first and remove those items that are not adding value to the progress or project or delivery, right? So this is about prioritizing the requirements. We also try to build the valuable items using the a kind of simple approach for yearly delivery, and then build upon them as we proceed rather than trying to deliver at all once. It is best to concentrate on only a few most value adding items as they provide most of the customer value. The customer items provide little value and are best left out. It is said that 80-20 rule could be applied to work, that states that only 20% of top items provide 80% of customer values. That is called 80-20. Those out of 100, only 20%, right? If I executing or considering that will give 80% of customer value. In the sense, what we are trying to say is, we need to pick up the particular task and prioritize them. Then that will give 80% of value to the 80% of customer values. So customer will be more, focused on the important priorities that will give immediate results. So we need to prioritize those 20% as of at the first stage. So this will be decided by if in Agile Scrum, then it will be the product owner and the team. The best architecture requirements and design emerge from the self-organizing teams. So Agile teams are to be self-organizing. This means that there is no formal organization structure or rigid hierarchy within an Agile team. This helps in getting right people take up work and that they can do best. They are also given decision-making power and ownership. This leads to the better architectures, requirements and designs, and finally leads to better deliveries, greater value additions and higher customer satisfaction. That is called the best architectures, requirements and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Okay. The team should be self-organized. That is a important thing in Agile. So at regular intervals, the team reflect on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjust its behavior accordingly. As we have seen, delivering customer value is one of the most important aspects of Agile deliveries. Hence, the team needs to keep a constant check on themselves on whether they have delivering the value, right? This is done by getting constant feedback from the customer and other stakeholders and doing fine tuning as per the recommendations. This is generally achieved on Agile using retrospective sessions at the end of an iterations, where we discuss learning from the just completed iteration. So it is like a lessons learned sessions on the traditional work, but it is done much more frequently and not only at the end of all the work. So that is called the 12th Agile principle, that is at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So I think we have discussed about the 12 myths of Agile. Now we are moving to Agile methodologies. Values and principles of Agile are implemented through several practices. These practices are defined as a part of several Agile methodologies. Many of these methodologies are not in much of this used these days. The list normally, right, the listing of requirements which is prioritized based on the customer focus or customer's interest, that matters our development or whatever it may be. So that is very important in the Agile method. So we have different methodologies, that is called Scrum, XP, that is Extreme Programming, Lean, that is aligned closely to Agile but not really an Agile methodology, and then fourth methodology called Kanban, so implementation of Lean, and FDD means Future Driven Development, and then Crystal, and then DSDM, that is Dynamic System Development Method. DSDM means Dynamic System Development Method. So we have around 7 different methodologies: Scrum, XP, Lean, Kanban, FDD, Crystal, DSDM. The most popular of the above is Scrum, followed by XP and Kanban. So the first top priority is Scrum, is a more famous method, then XP, then Kanban. Very few practices of other methodologies are used in the business world. Not all. Now let us look at the methodologies what we discuss. The Scrum. The Scrum is based on short iterations called sprints that generally go for 2 weeks. However, iteration length can be short as 1 week or as long as a couple of months. In Scrum, daily collaboration between all stakeholders happens through the Scrum meetings or Scrum calls. Then retrospective meetings are held at the end of each iteration to incorporate the continuous learning. The next chapter, next discussions, right? That is purely I'm planning to discuss on Scrum. So we can discuss one by one later, okay? So in Scrum we need a product backlog, sprint backlog. So the product backlog given as an input as a sprint planning, and we can create a sprint backlog, right? So that then actually we have the sprint retrospective. So we have daily scrums, 1 to 4 week sprints, sprint reviews and everything, and finally the product was developed. Potentially it may be, if a physical product, it may be shippable product increments and everything, right? Or a software is deliverable items. Now we are talking about XP. In XP, we start with user stories as requirements for the work. In case the technology to be used for work is not yet proven, then we may take up an architectural spike to prove that the concept works. It is similar to proof of concept in a traditional work. Release are planned by including user stories. A spike is a work done in order to reduce the risk. The word spike is now widely used in general agile practices to mean work undertaken in order to either reduce the risk or to particular approach to see how it works. Each release contains multiple iterations which are tested using acceptance tests developed by the users. After approval, the iterations form the part of the small release. So user stories, architectural spikes are given as a system metaphor, so which will be given to the release planning. In release planning we have uncertainty estimates and confident estimates that forms the spikes, and this release planning output will be given to the release plan as a release plan. So that will be given to the form of iterations. So the in iteration we have the new stories will be given back to the release planning. So this the confident estimates and uncertain estimates will be round up as a spike in the release planning, right? And then actually we have during the iteration, we are doing this latest update of versions, and then which will be given to the acceptance test, right? From acceptance test we can find this lot of bugs, and then next iterations results or inputs. So that is a kind of iteration, again and again repeating, right? And so these user stories will be given as a tested scenarios directly to the acceptance test. Okay. And so once the acceptance test is over, so if everything is customer approval happens, then actually we can do small release. Or otherwise, if any bugs means, again it is given to the iteration, and then it is taken as a next iteration. Okay. That is the important thing. Release are planned by the including user stories. A spike is a work done in order to reduce the risk. The work spike is now widely used in general agile practices to mean work undertaken in order to either reduce the risk or to test particular approach to see how it works. Each release contains multiple iterations which are tested using acceptance tests developed by the users. After approval, the iterations form the part of the small release. Okay, so these are the difference. So the XP defines several core practices. All right. Core practices in the team. So the outer circle will be whole team, planning, games, small release, customer test, right? And the next immediate inner cycle consists of collective code ownerships, code standards, sustainable phase, metaphor, continuous integration. And the innermost core is test driven development, refactoring, simple design, pair programming. This forms the 3 layers of practices. So whole team. The whole team refers to all contributors of the team working together towards success of the team. The customer provides requirements, and anybody from the development team can take up a job of collecting the requirements, creating design, coding or testing. XP emphasize on generalizing specialist and not role a specialist. Okay, it means that nobody is fixed in a particular role for a long, and roles keep changing. This helps in efficient information sharing. So everybody knows what is to be done, what a particular task about. So all knows all the jobs. Okay, that is important in the whole team. Planning games. Planning games refers to the games played during the planning activities performed on the XP, namely release planning, iteration planning. These games can be for requirements, elicitation, risk identification, estimation, prioritization, etc. So several of these games are very popular. Then comes small release. Small release are encouraged in XP to demonstrate progress and not to get yearly feedback from the customer. These releases are first put on development environment and then onto other environments after thorough testing. Customer test. Okay, customer test practices refers to the fact that certain tests that refers to the business scenarios are given by the customers and act as an acceptance criteria for acceptance of deliverables. These tests are often automated by the team and executed to prove that the features are working. And then collective code ownership. Collective code ownership refers to the fact that nobody owns any particular piece of code. All the code is owned by the entire team, and anybody is allowed to work on any piece of code. And code standards. Code standard is about defining coding standards for the work, as collectively code ownership could lead to inconsistencies in code. Hence, to avoid different approaches to the coding, the entire team need to follow the consistent set of rules while coding. So then actually we have sustainable pace. Sustainable phase is about being able to deliver a same phase throughout the life cycle, putting extra hours and not being able to maintain work-life balance cannot be sustained for a particular duration. Hence, these practices are to be avoided. Sustainable phase, right? So, it is talking about able to deliver the same phase throughout the life cycle. Putting extra hours and not being able to maintain the work-life balance cannot be sustained for a long duration. Hence, these practices are to be avoided. And then we have metaphor. So, metaphor refers to the statement made to describe release or iterations features in a simple to understand way. So, all the stakeholders are able to know what is included in the release or iteration. For example, a statement like the systems will be able to take personal information from users, make clear to all stakeholders that once delivered, the system will be able to perform this function. And then we have continuous integration. The continuous integration is a practice that states that every time the new code is put into the code repository, it should be checked for compilation errors, and some basic tests should be run to ensure that it does not break the already built functionality. This assists in finding problems early so that they can be fixed earlier. Now, test-driven development. So, the test-driven development states that developer first develops the test cases for the user story to be developed. These test cases are run and they could obviously fail as no code has been written for them to pass. Then the coding starts and the objective of the developer is to get these test cases to pass. This ensures that the developer focuses only on what is adequate to get the first case to pass and no extra code is written. This is commonly used practice in general agile also, and has been further extended to include acceptance test driven development, where even the user acceptance test cases are developed and tested this way. We shall see in the upcoming videos, right? So refactoring. Refactoring is about spending time to improve the design of the already written code without changing the functionality. This is so that the code remains maintainable and also speed up future development work. This practice is widely used in general agile currently, refactoring. So simple design. Simple design means that we make a design that is simplest way to achieve what we want to develop right now. We may iteratively build on it later on, and when new features are to be built. Pair programming. Yes, this is a common term, right? Everybody knows. Pair programming practice encompasses the fact that two programmers sit together when coding is done. One of them writes a code called a driver, and the other does a real-time review of the code being written called navigator. This ensures that review is happening in parallel to the coding. After a few hours, the pair change roles, drivers and negotiator. Those who played a navigator play the role of a driver now, and those who played a driver can now play the navigator role. This practice also help in knowledge sharing. One to one, they will communicate internally and can able to discuss all the requirements. This is again a good practice. Okay, and then we start looking from bottom of the phase, right, where coding is done using pair programming on the real-time basis. The code that is written is unit tested as a part of continuous integration within minutes, and the changes may be negotiated between the pair of programmers before finalization of the code. In a daily stand-up meeting, we get yearly feedback about work done, and the customers runs acceptance test at the end of the 2 weeks iteration to provide acceptance of deliverables. Iteration plans are created for each iteration, and this rolls up to the release that has a release plan. So planning or feedback loop will be code, pair programming, unit test, pair negotiation. It is in hours. Normally pair programming in seconds, unit test in minutes, and then pair negotiation in hours, stand-up meeting 1 day, and then acceptance test days, and then iteration plan weeks, and then release plan in months. This is how actually bottom-top approach. And then now we have lean. The lean methodology comes from the field of manufacturing. It is so called by the famous author Eliyahu Goldratt, Theory of Constraint, TOC. I really like this book. Actually, I have read 2 to 3 times. It is really good. Strictly, it is talking about the bottlenecks, everything, how to manage the bottlenecks, minimum with minimum inventory, right? Strictly speaking, it is not an agile methodology. However, the value of lean are closely aligned to the agile practices, waste reduction and concentrating on delivering values. Okay. So agile lean software development will have first phase eliminate the waste, second empower the team, third deliver the fast outputs, and fourth will be optimize the whole, and then fifth will be build quality in, and sixth will be deliver decisions, and seventh will be amplify learnings. So now actually we are going to talk about eliminate waste. How we are planning to eliminate the waste. All waste in the work should be removed to ensure that all our actions are adding value. For example, avoid partial work, reduce delays, avoid handoffs, and do not deliver any unnecessary features. This is familiar to Agile principle of simplicity, which says that we should concentrate our attention on delivering only value adding features and ignore others, right? So next comes actually we have empowering the team. So this is I can say this is about avoiding micromanagement and let the team make local decisions. This concept is similar to agile principles of self-organizing teams. Okay, and third will be deliver fast. It means that we deliver value quickly in order to increase the return on investment of the customer. Fourth will be optimize the whole. This means that we should not look at improving the different pieces of the process separately. Any improvement or optimization should always be looked at from the end-to-end process point of view. For example, if we try to improve one part of the process, say testing, without analyzing which part of the process is contributing to the issues, we may not get the desired improvements in the output. Instead, we should study the process to find bottlenecks where improvement should be done, and then improve those parts only. Okay, and build quality. This means that we should not concentrate only on testing after developing, but also in the entire process. It means that we should ensure skilled resources are employed and they are made accountable for developing quality deliverables. Hence, we think of quality throughout the process and not just at the end after developing the product. This process produces higher quality deliverables. Practices in Agile that align with this concept are refactoring, continuous integration, and unit testing. And then deferred decisions. This is about maintaining a balance between yearly planning through yearly decisions and committing to things as late as possible. Delaying decisions to the late responsible moment provides us with a greater flexibility, and the decisions are taken when we have greater knowledge and hence lower risk. Amplify learnings. This talks about getting earlier feedback on our deliverables from stakeholders and applying it on process as improvement. Okay, so we have discussed about the Agile methodologies, Lean, then actually XP, and then actually Scrum, right? So we have other methodologies in queues. So we need to see all these methodologies, right? So now we have Kanban. So Kanban is based on a lean production system used by the Toyota car manufacturing. They only applied this Kanban. Kanban in Japanese means billboard or signboard. A Kanban system concentrates on the process value streams. It is an implementation of lean system. Okay, so it's a implementation system for the lean. Kanban is nothing but an implementation system. So the 5 principles of Kanban that governs a Kanban system, right? What are they? First one, visualize the workflow. Second thing, limit work in progress, WIP. Third one, manage flow. Fourth, make process policies explicit. Fifth one, improve collaboratively. So visualize the workflow means visualize the workflow in the sense we should articulate the process clearly to see how work flows through it. This helps organizing, optimizing, and tracking it. I don't want to explain more in detail because it is more easy to understand, right? So limit work in progress, WIP. Limit work in progress is about setting low work in progress limit at each stage of the process. So limit the work in progress is about setting a low work in progress limit at each stage of the process. It helps in identification of issues in a system and creates a full system of work. It is done using Kanban or task board that we will discuss in the coming videos. Third one will be manage flows. So manage flow is to track how work flows through the system to identify issues and fix them. And fourth will be make process policies explicit. Make process policies explicit is to make the entire team well aware of how things work so as to allow no ambiguities. And improve collaboratively. Improve collaboratively is about using scientific measurements so the team can work collectively to make process improvements. The key tool provided by the Kanban is a Kanban board, task board, which is almost universally used in all agile work. So in PA planning we are using it, right? So normally this Kanban board will have pending, analysis, development, test, deploy, right? So in each stage we have what to doing and done, right? That we need to compare that. Each sticky note consists of a requirement, generally in the form of user story. These notes are placed in the various columns to show where each work items are in the entire process. So because each point is interrelated, right, or iterated. Work in progress limits are put at each stage, written on the top of the stage. For example, we cannot have more than 5 requirements in the development stage at any time, and no more than 3 can be in analysis. So this is about actually the Kanban pull system, where work is pulled from the previous stage only. Previous stage only. Once work moves through the system. For example, once an item moves from the development to test, only once an item moves from the development to test, only then an item can be pulled from the analysis into development. So for example, the current stage completes the work, then only from the previous stage remaining work will be pulled. So this is called pull system. Say for example, you are in third stage, you are doing some testing. Once you complete the particular testing part, then only you will go for development and requirement analysis and do the new requirement and give the create a design and then give and form a development and give to the testing. Upon completion of the particular stage, only the successive stage will be pulled. That is called once an item moves from the development to test, only then an item can be pulled from the analysis into development. That is the beauty of this. This ensures that to avoid the work in progress, right? Because if you are taking more requirement or more testing or something, then work in progress will be more in the particular stage. To avoid this, we are using this pull system. This ensures that work does not get built up at any stage, leading to optimizing the whole rather than any particular stage. Work in progress limits ensures that there is not too much multitasking, right? See, important thing is work in progress limits that ensure there is not too much multitasking, as that leads to task switching as a waste. In order to reduce this waste, work in progress limits are put at each stage to ensure that too much work does not get built up at any stage. The work in progress limits are detailed based on the team size and require a trial and error methods. As a thumb rule, one can start with either one or two tasks per team member at any point of time while deciding the work in progress limits, and then fine tune based on the learnings, improve collaboratively, right? So if there is too much idle time for any team member, then the work in progress limits needs to be increased for that stage. And if there is a bottleneck, then a team member identified at any stage, then if there is any bottleneck a team member identified at any stage, then work in progress limits needs to be reduced for that particular stage. Okay. The important thing is, if there is too much idle time for any team member, then work in progress limits need to be increased for the particular stage. And if there is bottleneck, the team member identified at any stage, then the work in progress limits need to be reduced for the particular stage. So what we discussed so far is actually the Agile helps to remove some of the drawbacks of the traditional approach of delivering, that is Waterfall methodology, difficulty in managing and changing, the lack of customer centricity. There are two prerequisites to apply in Agile: lack of scope clarity and knowledge worker teams. Right? Agile is both incremental and iterative. Okay. So there are two prerequisites to apply Agile: lack of scope clarity and knowledgeable worker team. And Agile Manifesto consists of 4 values and 12 principles. Each Agile methodology defines its own practices based on these 4 values and 12 principles. In the 4 values, we give more importance to the item on the left than the item on the right. If you are creating a table, we need to create left and right items. The left items will be given more importance. The Scrum is most popular Agile methodology. It consists of iterations called sprints. XP is a software development centric Agile methodology that provides 13 practices, many of which are quite popular. Kanban is a lean implementation that rests on 5 practices and based on waste reduction. A Kanban board is very commonly used in Agile methodology. So just a kind of recap. So Agile is iterative and incremental. That is very important. And team is able to take their own decisions rather than a manager in Waterfall methodology can handle everything. This Agile teams can handle everything. So in the sense, actually, the team should be more knowledgeable, so self-centric, and can take own decisions and everything. So these are the main things actually, and also we can plan the planning can be break down into small chunks rather than doing the one single planning at the earlier stage. That will not be effective as per the Agile concepts. So it depends on the industry, right? Actually, so normally this lean and Kanban and all these things will be applicable to the normally by the manufacturing industry in those days, and now it is accepted. But traditional Agile methodology is always Scrum. First Scrum, second XP, third this Kanban. I hope actually the details I have provided is very useful, and also I know actually that I have taken a very big time for discussing on this Agile concepts, Agile Manifesto, values and principles, right? And also the different methodologies we discuss. Thanks for watching, friends. This is G.V. Shivakumar signing off. Good morning, friends. This is G.V. Shivakumar again. Thanks for the support. Today I'm planning to discuss about Agile way of management. Okay. So immediately many people asking actually what is Agile, and many people know what is Agile, need for Agile, project management, everything, right? You already know that. So I can say Agile is simply a concept that states how work should be done. This work can be part of the project or regular operations, right? The concept of Agile has several different implementations which are called methodologies. These methodologies can either be applied individually to work or together in a combination, in the sense of hybrid way. Most common Agile implementations are the combination of several Agile methodologies, right? Agile is not recommended for all the kind of work. There are two prerequisites that need to be satisfied to get the real benefit of Agile. So those prerequisites are work has a high uncertainty in scope. Second, work involves knowledge workers. When we are discussing about work as a high uncertainty in scope, scope means actually the work that needs to be done on the project or operations. In several cases, scope is quite clear in the minds of the customers and other stakeholders.